Hello. Firstly, my name is Zach from Force24, and thank you for coming this afternoon. For those that don't know Force24, we're a marketing automation platform that partner with Office Friendly and have done for the past few years. Nice to see some familiar faces in the crowd, and thank you to Katie and the team for giving me the opportunity today to present to you. Firstly, I promise this is not a sales pitch. I will show bits of the platform, but at no point is it me selling Force24. The one aim I sort of hope for everyone today is take one little bit of information back to your marketing team to improve your email marketing and your cross-channel communication. Been in the business about 5 years now, 3 years within the sales team before moving over to partnerships in 2022. And a passion for leveling the playing field. God, I'm not going to say that. I think the marketing team put that in there for me. So a bit about Force24 and sort of why we're talking to you today. So we're a UK-based company based up in Leeds. Had an investment of £8 million come in 3 years ago, mostly into the product development roadmap and AI, which I'll chat about more at the end. And one of the big drivers behind sort of everything we're doing, and I hope you take some of this away from the masterclass today, is actually about getting the end user to get the most out of their tech stack. Be that Force24, ICM, HubSpot, MailChimp. If your tech is not working for you, work harder with them. Support teams are out there for a reason. It's making sure you get the most out of your tech team. Utilize training, utilize support. You have a fantastic opportunity as part of the Office-friendly community to lean on a fantastic marketing agency in Cascade. Martha here, Jake at the back, Gaz, work across 25 different client accounts within Force24 and 100 different dealer membership groups. So it's looking at ways in which you can combine their expertise in the industry with your own product, your own business. Because everyone sat in this room today will have a different objective. We're part of the community. Use that collaboration that Jeanette spoke about so eloquently earlier today. And then why I'm on the stage today. So, as I mentioned, we partnered with Office Friendly in 2022. Currently working with over 25 of the dealer base. We're sending 500,000 emails a month out of the system to prospects, to customers, to active data sets that are held within the system. That, I think, gives me a bit of a right to stand up here today and talk about what the good looks like and what the bad looks like. It allows us an opportunity to see what campaigns are delivering and allows us to actually put an ROI behind marketing. And this is up from our CEO, Adam, who does these masterclass up and down the country. I hope I do it somewhat justice today. But it's looking at how we can combine sales and marketing teams. Sales and marketing are the same function. They have different names, but they should sit under the same function. It's looking at how, as marketeers, we can start empowering our audiences, empowering our communications to deliver better leads and results into the sales team and look good doing it. But I think at 45, he does a better job of that than me. So what we'll cover today. Firstly, it's about lead generation. So it's about how we move beyond email marketing. It's how we move beyond sending campaigns for the sake of it. It's how we put actionable results and actionable insights off the back of what we're sending. We'll look at designing content. We've got a couple of examples that Kate and the team have created themselves, and also look at ones which maybe necessarily aren't as good. Personalization and segmentation will never be the most interesting topic. No one got into marketing, no one got into sending out email campaigns for their dealership to look at data sets. You got into it to create content, to create a brand, and to talk about that. And then finally, cross-channel. Predominantly what I talk about today is email, but it's not the whole story. There are other mediums out there at the moment that are performing as, if not better than email alone. So combining things like SMS, direct mail, social advertisement into the work as well. So, the biggest question I get asked when speaking to dealer groups is, but we're not a B2C brand. They tell us, my marketing can't be flashy, it can't be creative. We're emailing about pens, paper, and printers. But I think that sort of landscape has changed a bit. It's no longer B2C or B2B. It's yourselves to people. We have to move away from looking at data sets as a point of data and an email address within our system. We have to look at this as a person on the other end. We have to tell a story to them. We have to talk to them in the right way about where they are in the funnel at that given moment. And this is what everyone in the room should be able to tell me. You should be able to talk today and know who you are and what you stand for. It's the marketeer's job to entertain their audience, to convey that message, to convey that brand across. But as a business, we need to understand what makes our audience tick. Be that your customers, be that your prospects, be that people you meet in the room today. We need to be able to share those messages across through those different channels I mentioned earlier. And I think this one, I sort of left the room during Sir Clive Woodward's talk because I knew I'd written this morning, but what he said really stuck on that. It's never being second best. It's not just accepting what we're doing today, it's doing better. So, quick question across the audience. When I ask this, we'll probably get no answer, so I'm hoping one of the office-friendly teams might say something for me. How many emails do you think the average recipient receives a day? You can just shout them out. 85. Any others? Any others? Okay. It's actually a lot higher. So the average inbox receives 120 emails a day. That's set to go up to 165 by 2026. And picture of spam in the background there. A lot of people are doing it wrong. We'll have all received emails that aren't right for us. They're from a company we signed up to a mailing list, or even worse, a company whose data they've bought off ZoomInfo, Cognizant, Apple, whatever it might be. And this is where the sort of knowledge piece that I hope you take away from today is that most dealerships, and this goes across your industry as well and into others, most marketeers are doing segmentation wrong, and they're reporting on the wrong metrics. Segmentation is a way for us to group our audience. It's a way of us to collate multiple people and put them in the same pot to talk about messaging. It's moving away from doing email on a one-to-one level or marketing at a one-to-one level, and it's doing it at a one-to-many ratio. The importance is keeping the one-to-one aspect of it. It's keeping it relevant. It's keeping it personalized. And the reporting, which I'll touch on a bit more as well, I'm not sure if any of you saw it. If there's marketers in the room, I'd have hoped they would. But Apple's iOS update on iOS 15 now means that any email that's received by a recipient on an iPhone will be marked as open. So any open metrics are now completely skewed. Bots are winning the battle in the click-through rates. Non-human interaction is higher than it's ever been. As AI is developing in the back end of email systems and providers, the metrics we're reporting on are skewed and wrong. So no longer can we trust an open rate. No longer can we trust a click-through rate. So it's about what do we look at from marketing to now judge how well we're performing. So back to the segmentation. I'll touch on the report in a bit more in a second. I'm sort of running before I'm walking there. So this is traditionally what I see within a dealership, within a client that is currently looking at improving upon their segmentation. So what we've got here is the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. And if any of you have heard one of our talks before, it's said over and over again. So this is a way of us to be able to use explicit segmentation. By explicit, I mean any information you know about a customer. It could be first name, last name, email address, industry, location. It's known facts. But what that leads to is a situation like this. So if we're to just judge upon explicit segmentation, I could say that from my data set, Ozzy Osbourne and King Charles should be receiving the same marketing. They should be receiving the same messaging. And I'm hoping there's no one in the room that says they should be. We need to be talking to our audience in a way that's relevant for them. And by doing that, we need to be using information they're giving me, not what they're telling me. So that's what we want to get to instead. I'm not too fussed if you're a butcher or a baker or a candlestick maker. What I'm more fussed about is how engaged you are, where you are in the cycle. Have you bought from me before? Do I know anything else about you? Are you engaging with my content? Are you engaging with my socials? And using known facts that they're telling me to influence what messaging I send them. And so this is how we're trying to combat this issue. This is how we're trying to empower. And a lot of systems out there will be able to have a capability of some sort of this. I would recommend using it as soon as possible. And it's the concept of lead scoring or lead engagement. Is anyone in the room familiar with lead scoring or lead engagement before I sort of touch on it some more? Perfect. Thank you. The hand went up slowly there, Harry, so don't say my name, please. So what lead scoring allows us to do, and I've picked myself here so I don't break GDPR to a room of 20 people. What lead scoring allows us to do is it allows us to identify actions based off behavior. So I'm not anymore relying on the open rate. I'm not just relying on the click-through rate. I'm relying on real behavior to influence both marketing and, more importantly, for the MDs, CEOs, sales directors in the room, I'm looking at ways to empower my sales team. So what this allows us to do from first-party data is to attribute different actions with a different level of engagement. From a marketeer's point of view, and I see a couple that recognise that around the room, it allows us to tailor that communication. If someone looks at product A, send them a follow-up information. If someone looks at the contact us form and then proceeds to not use it, how do we go from there? It's similar to basket abandonment in a B2C sense. The other thing it allows us to do from a sales perspective is to engage with contacts that haven't directly come to us. If we're sat waiting for people to contact us the whole time, we're missing a huge opportunity within the market. We're not utilising the full data set we have available. Just from our own example last year, so 60% of the leads that we converted actually came from people who never filled in the book a demo form, never came to an event, never replied to an email. but they built up enough of an engagement, they'd looked at enough content that we'd provided, they'd visited the site enough times for us to be able to warrant a human outreach. Now, for any salespeople in the room, I would never recommend calling someone and saying, I saw you on the website at 2:23 today. It gets slightly George Orwell, 1984 at that point, and I'm pretty sure they'd hang up straight away. But what it does allow us to do is it allows us to talk to people in a manner of which they're interested. If I know you're looking at a certain product, a certain service, a certain case study, I can tailor my outreach to you. I can tailor the conversation, I can direct it in a way to turn you from a contact to a possible opportunity. And that's how marketing and sales work together. That's how the teams, which traditionally sit separate and siloed, come as one, and you work as a revenue function as opposed to two separate departments. What it also allows us to do is it allows us to start to create a sales funnel. There are 1,000,001 different authors out there who look at the sales funnel, look at how we engage with the audience at different times. If we allow that engagement to direct where someone moves along the funnel, we're pushing them in the direction we want them to go at their own pace. We're using the awareness stage, and awareness should sit with marketing. Awareness is your brand. It is you going out to events, it's creating social posts, it's creating content, it's blogs, it's articles, it's guides, it's new product releases, it's events, it's discounts. There is a whole host, and I'm not a marketeer by trade. There are people in the room who will be far better at coming up with the ideas than I am. The second stage is where someone's in consideration. It's where they're engaging with content, and we need to get them over that final edge. It's about how we work across channel. It's how we use different mediums of communication to engage with our audiences. Audience that's hard to reach digitally, have we tried direct mail? An audience that's engaging with social posts, have we pushed that across our employee base? Your employees' LinkedIn pages will perform 8 to 12 times better than the individual. But how many of us are still just posting out from our brands as opposed to using our employee and our workforce as that extra sales tool? And then finally, it's conversion. It's amazing. The more leads a marketeer gives a sales team, the happier the relationship. It's not rocket science to figure out. It's not a difficult concept, but the more engaged and communicative we can be with the sales team, the more leads we pass across, the happier the relationship within the business, and the higher performance we can expect. There's a big thing about differentiation at the moment. The market is tough. It's tough across all channels. Thought a Labour government would save it, but that's me getting into my own political beliefs there, but it hasn't done as of yet. What it does, though, is it means that the businesses who are doing more, the businesses who are actively trying to reach out to their customers in new ways, in innovative channels, in innovative campaigns, are the ones that are going to peek their head above the parapet and perform better. I've just realised peek head above the parapet means you get shot, so don't do that. And this ties onto the sort of argument about batch and blast being dead. So batch and blast is our industry jargon for sending out communications to whole databases. It's throwing content out the door, not without a thought, but without an understanding of the people who are receiving it on the back end. It's sending to audiences you might not have engaged with. It's sending to old data. It's sending a case study or a promotion or a new product release that someone's never bought from you and they're not interested in. It might be the wrong sector. It might be the wrong person. It might be the wrong time. Marketeers have one of the hardest jobs in a business. I used to call it the colouring in department before I started at Force24, and I very, very quickly moved away from that because I've seen how much more goes into it than what you see at the end product. We need to be giving our marketeers and our business the time, the trust, and the resource they need, or leaning on the expert support that you have in the room around you to actually be delivering their job, to be moving away from, crap, I haven't sent a newsletter this month. Let's send it out to the whole audience and hope that we convert 10 new sales from it. We have to be more targeted. We have to be more clever. We have to be more direct to the individual's needs. Next stage. So one of the sort of more simple ways to move across from batch and blast, so sending one email to my audience, hoping it delivers and waiting 30 days is no longer good enough. Microsoft say that if a contact doesn't engage with your email within 30 days, to remove them from your database. Now, I wouldn't recommend that anyone in the room does that. You'll run out of contacts very, very quickly. But it shows us the idea they want. We have to play ball with Microsoft and Google because they own 90% of the market. When I send a communication to an individual, I know he's Harry because he's in the second row, I'm no longer sending it from me to Harry. I'm sending it to a big mass of email providers from all over the world to all different audiences, and they're choosing what gets through. Google and Microsoft want to cut that 120 emails down. No one is engaging with 120 emails a day. They only want the most engaging content to get through. And to do that, we need to be talking about how we're going to convey a message. The average B2B email is engaged with 1 in 6 to 1 in 7 times. So any messaging you want to send to your audience, we need to be selling the story 7 times, or 6 times in the example here. It sounds like a lot more work, it sounds like 6 times, but what we actually want to be doing is the same message, the same content, said in different styles. I've seen it before where someone sent the exact same email a week later, and their open rates were double because they sent it at 3 o'clock rather than 9 o'clock. So it's understanding that I need to be saying the message multiple times to the audience if I've got my data segmented properly. And this slide here, I'll pop it across to Kate afterwards. She's seen this a million times, but this is something that everyone could take away today. Take the email you're sending at the moment as one, split it over 6 emails, and keep that decision criteria. Keep a way to remove people. If someone engages, remove them. Send them about something more intriguing. Send them about more information to do with it. Move them along the funnel using your marketing team. So building across these journeys is about using it as almost a mind map. So this is our editor. HubSpot have a good one. MailChimp have one. It's a way of us being able to move away from sending that one email to spreading the messaging clearly and coherently over multiple touch points. And this is where we can start to integrate different channels as well. So I'm hoping that some of you got the text that Martha prepared from the Force24 platform this morning. It's ways to introduce SMS. If you're running any events like today, it's ways of capturing signups and entering them into a funnel or a flow or a journey. And this is what we want to move away from. If automation is ever making your job harder, it is failing at its core purpose. Automation should be making your life easier. Tech out there exists to make the marketeer's life easier. And again, I go back to the point of marketeers didn't get into marketing to build an email. They didn't get into marketing to sit on a CRM somewhere trying to segment or organize their data. What they want to be doing is the content, the strategy. That's why you pay them the money. You pay them the money and the marketeer's budget and the spend so that they can be coming up with new ideas to convey the brand. They can come up with new strategies. They can design new communication channels. But at the moment, the time's sat within execution, in the doing, in the bit that's not received. The average recipient spends, on average, I think it sits between 3.5 to 4 seconds on an email. So if you're spending 3-4 hours of time crafting that email, trying to decide which widget goes where and which order we're sending it in, for someone to give it 4 seconds worth, it just doesn't make sense. So where we want to get to is a marketeer spending the bulk majority of their time in the designing, in the application, in the strategy of what they're sending, in the content, making sure it's personalized, making sure it's relevant. And this covers every medium of marketing. It's not just email. The doing should be your easy part, and that's getting easier with the help of AI. And the reporting, that's reporting on things like lead scoring. It's passing across engaged contacts back to the sales team on an automated basis or on a more controlled, you should be contacting this person here, then. This is a sort of quite an interesting slide. And when Adam, my CEO, first did it, I didn't understand it. It took me listening to him 2 or 3 times. So if I get it in one, I will be going back and telling him that. But email content design, I want an email to be as short as possible. Microsoft want an email to be 10 words, 1 button. If anyone in the room manages to get 10 words, 1 button, I'll buy them a pint afterwards. Because it's so difficult to convey a large marketing message in that short period of time. But an email's a hook. It is not the full meal. It is not the full story. We can no longer be sending pages and pages of newsletter, or we've got this promotion, this promotion, this promotion, this promotion, over and over again. What we need to be doing is condensing the message, making it relevant to the individual with a hook, a good subject line, and a call to action. Because once we've got that call to action, that's when our Google Analytics starts tracking the web. That's when the web tracking and lead scoring kicks in. That's when we can start to become more personalized. And it sort of snowballs into an effect of the more personalized and engaging we get, the more information we get off the back end. The Office Friendly have a really great metric on this. It's condensed. I know what it's about. It's shortened. I can read the information, and then immediately at the bottom, at what we call the trampoline, it's a call to action. It's allowing us to then take the next step. And that could be to a blog, it could be to a product page, or it could be to a landing page where the information is tailored in a really small, condensed way. I probably wouldn't be doing my job working for a tech company if I didn't talk about AI. AI has become a massive buzzword across marketing, across all iterations of tech within the last 18, 24 months. It's always existed. Siri on your phone is a great version of AI, but it's really ramped up in its capability. AI is not taking marketers' job. It is not what you see on LinkedIn from those big scaremongering, oh, I'm going to lose my job to AI. The marketers who don't adopt AI, they're the ones who are in danger. So it's about working with AI to take away from the mundane so that when we go back to where we should be spending our time, If we can get AI to be doing even more of the reporting, even more of the execution, get that down to 5, 10% of your day, your week, your month in time allocation, then we're using it for us as opposed to either fighting AI, which is bizarre for anyone to be talking about, but also we're using it to empower our business. So the generative AI I talk about, that's just simple things which AI should be able to do for us. It's about crafting content in your brand messaging in a more engaging way. It's about taking what you've given it, you've put in your brand messaging, you've put in your tonality, you've put in your competitors, you've put in your products, and it's allowing that to create things like subject lines, content within an email. This is not taken away from the marketer that's creating it, it's just iterative and improving upon the work they've already put into it. And then where we're trying to get to with it, and this is by Christmas. I hope we'll get it done. I'm confident in our tech team that we will. But it's about using AI to be able to create the journeys and campaigns for us. Allow the marketer to spend the time on the content, the messaging, the branding, as opposed to the doing. And finally, I'm a Mercedes fan myself, so the fact that Max Verstappen is sat behind there is not the one for me, but it's about getting all 4 of these pillars right. At any one time, for any campaign a marketer is delivering, it has to be the right content, and we do that with the personalization. It has to be the right person, and that's our segmentation. It's got to be the right time, which is where they're at the funnel. I can't be talking about buy from us today to someone that's never heard of us. That's where cold emailing gets a bad rep from. And finally, the right place. If we're not reaching our contacts through email, have we tried DM, direct mail? Have we tried utilizing social media? Have we tried utilizing SMS marketing, for example? And finally, Lee has been with the business for 12 years and was previously at Val himself, so understands the industry in conjunction with Casey and the team. Speak to one of the team if anything I've said. If you agree with it, brilliant. If you disagree with it, I'd love to talk about why. For anyone in the room that is using Force24, please utilize the free training support. It's not a gimmick, it's there for you to use. I'd rather you used and abused our support team as opposed to leaving it there, speaking to me 6 months later and saying, I never sent anything out of the system. And finally, we do events like this up and down the country, well, masterclasses. They're much more in depth. It's our CEO doing it, who is a far better orator than I am myself. So we're in Bristol 2 weeks' time. We're in Manchester in November and Liverpool, which Harry's coming to in first week of December, I believe. So please, any questions, let me know. And thank you for listening to me babble on about email for the last 20 minutes.